Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Alex King. Today is Thursday, the 21st, 2020, 4 p.m. New York time. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And our friend Dan Mangina is taking the day off, but he will be back next week. In the meantime, we got Alex's beautiful blue hair and with the little pink highlights, and me here and admiring her unicorn headphones, and we're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be good. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing good. Did you know yesterday my mother-in-law gave me a unicorn mask?
Really? Oh, how
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
Very nice. Yeah.
Anything unicorn, she'll just pick it up for me just because it is.
That's the kind of aunt to have.
Yeah. Did I tell you what I got for Easter?
No, what?
Unicorn poop.
Okay, well, maybe almost everything.
No, it's white chocolate.
Delivery.
We're online. Thank you. Ooh, ice and everything. Oh, I'm
Door-to-door
special
delivery.
today. Door-to-door delivery service. Aren't I lucky?
I tell you. Yeah, be kind to him, that's for sure.
Yeah, so it was white chocolate in the shape of the poop emoji with sprinkles.
It's almost more than I want to know, but I'll live with that one.
It was delicious anyway.
Okay. Even that's a little bit more than what I want to know. So anyway, I thought I'd start off today's show sharing a post. I mean, first of all, I hope you don't fall off your chair because I actually spent time and posted on Facebook. I know that's not my normal behavior pattern.
And posted?
And posted. Did both, yeah.
I was time and posted.
Like more than 5 minutes. This was an extended stay.
Whoa. You gonna buy a timeshare next? What's up?
Yeah, right. No kidding.
Facebook timeshares.
No, what had happened was there had been a sort of a kerfuffle yesterday. Somebody had posted something, the admin had removed it, and they all got upset. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people got upset. So there's a big, tug of war going on. And I posted in response to that, and it led me to think about something else to write about today because it kind of tied in. And I liked it. I liked what I wrote. Other people have been liking it too. I've been getting good responses. So I figured, why not start off the show by reading that, and that can become our topic for the day.
Okay, sounds good.
So here goes. It's entitled, "My Happiness is Not Dependent Upon Your Thoughts, Feelings, or Behaviors."
That was almost my subject for the day.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was more of the lines of like, how are you respecting yourself, or how are you allowing other people to respect you?
Well, you're going to like the second line then. Because the second line is, "My happiness is dependent upon my thoughts, feelings, or behaviors."
Look at us. Look at us go. Hashtag great minds think alike.
There you go. So anyway, here's what I wrote. These truths seem so obvious, don't they? And yet, it's absolutely amazing how often we forget them. In personal relationships, many of us forget them every day. How many times yesterday did you wish that someone else would behave differently toward you so that you could feel better? We also forget about them in work relationships. How often do we get all worked up when a coworker behaves in a way toward us that we don't like? And yet, in getting all worked up, we make our happiness dependent upon them. Discussions often have the same issue, like here on Facebook. Yesterday's discussion about a removed post was a case in point. Some people declared that their happiness was dependent upon whether other people discussed a particular topic. This phenomenon also happens all the time, dare I say it, in the world of politics. Liberals, for instance, get all worked up about how horrible climate change is and how everyone has a moral duty to join the struggle against climate change. And similarly, conservatives, in another instance, get all worked up about how horrible gay marriage is and how everyone has a moral duty to join the struggle against gay marriage. And in both cases, whether liberal or conservative, people get themselves into a state about how other people think, feel, and behave. And in doing so, they give away their own power and they abandon their own core strength. And then we wonder why it is we get more of the things we oppose. Climate change campaigners find themselves with more and more instances of climate change every day. Gay marriage bashers find themselves more and more confronted with gay relationships every day. But what would happen if we took what a friend of mine, by the way, that friend is Cindy Chavez, calls radical responsibility for our own happiness? What would happen if we decided that our happiness was solely dependent upon our own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors? When someone we're close to behaves in a way we don't like, instead of pushing back at the behavior we don't like, what would happen if we were to emphasize the behavior that we do like? What if we chose to only respond with what we do like without any worry about what they like and without trying in any way to change or challenge what they like? Well, what would happen is we'd be much, much happier. When the coworker says something we don't like, instead of responding to it by pushing back at it, we could choose a different response that essentially emphasizes what we like instead. And we could openly take ownership of the fact that we like it and that we don't expect others to like the same thing in order for us to be happy with it. Wouldn't that be radical? Well, it wouldn't just be radical, it would be a much higher vibration.
Hmm.
What would happen if the liberal, instead of focusing on what he doesn't like about climate change, focused instead on the fact that he likes clean air, clean water, electric cars, and all the good feeling stuff that he prefers? What would happen is that the world's vibration would rise. And what would happen if the conservative, instead of focusing on what he doesn't like about gay marriage, focused instead on what he likes about heterosexual marriage or heterosexual relationships? Well, what would happen is that more people would embrace the philosophy, live and let live.
Hmm.
There is a great gift in the idea that our happiness is dependent upon our own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and that, in fact, our happiness has no dependence at all upon the thoughts, feelings, or behaviors of others. It is a gift of peace in one's own life, it is a gift of releasing resistance, and it is a gift of feeling good. So there it is, my little post.
Well, look at you go.
What do you think?
I liked it. I thought it
Yeah.
was very well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked how you made sure you made a point to everybody that, like, because you think like this, it could be fixed by this.
Yeah. Well, that's what
Just that
needs to
simple.
happen. Well, it doesn't happen very often, but isn't that the way writing should be? I
Yeah.
mean, if you're going to point something out that you don't like, shouldn't you replace it with what you do like?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you do, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. Basically.
Every day. That's your daily routine.
Every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And, well, share the secret with our audience. Does it work?
A little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Only when you remember, though. Only when you remember. Because there's some
Yeah.
days where I forget and I'm like, oh, yeah, wasn't the best day. But tomorrow will be better.
Tomorrow will be better. And it's true, we can have times where we just kind of slip a little
Yeah.
bit,
You're
right?
allowed. You're human.
We're allowed. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Which is okay. It's good. The better thing is when we catch it,
Yeah.
you know?
And don't let it downward spiral you into a whole different
Oh,
mind.
absolutely. It's
Yeah.
so much easier to catch it early than to catch it late.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the old
And it's never
analogy.
too late, but still
It's never
catch it
too late.
early.
No, that's true. But it's like the rock rolling downhill. You want to catch it near the top of the hill, not near the bottom.
Exactly.
Unless you like being run over.
I mean, you could run pretty fast, but either way, you're at the bottom of the hill and you got to start over. So,
Yes. No kidding. So what's your favorite way to make sure that you catch it early?
doing exactly what you were saying. Basically, if I say, "Oh, I'm so mad," okay, for instance, let me take it back to one time I went to McDonald's and it was Shamrock Shake season, and they ran out of Shamrock Shakes that day. I had a conniption fit.
Oh
I
no.
was like, "Oh my god!" And mind you, this is just mint ice cream shake. It's not that serious, but that day it was. And because I think it was the last day too. So I was just having a conniption and I was like, this is the worst day ever. Nothing else is gonna go right today. And I just kept going and going. And then I stopped and realized, and I'm like, you could get an Oreo shake. It's not that much different. And at least you're still getting a shake. And so I did. And I was like, there's ice cream in my body. That's enough for me right now. And I'll get them next year. I could have also simply if somebody would have simply said to me, we can go to the store, get mint chocolate chip ice cream, put it in the blender and call it a day. But I was in the right mindset to hear logic. Okay. I didn't want to know. I was wanted my Shamrock Shake and there was nothing that was going to be behind it. So, but if I had thought in the mindset of, I can make this at home myself and still get the same effect, I probably wouldn't have been as distraught.
But isn't that the way it usually is? I mean, when we're dealing with something like this, it's almost never logical.
It's never logical. No.
It's always emotional, right?
Yeah.
And it's usually irrational too.
Yes, usually. But Kenny's got me into the mindset of, our favorite thing to do is he'll say something that doesn't sound right to me, and I'll go, or hear me out, and then I'll suggest another suggestion. It's usually
Mm.
something stupid, but just to make us laugh. But we started using it in real situations too.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
How's that worked out?
it works out good. It makes us more aware of compromising.
Ah.
So that
Well,
way we meet in the
compromising
middle.
or flipping your switch over to what feels better.
Hmm, that's a tough one.
Why?
Because I feel like with compromising, we're both meeting in the middle, but it's not like to the point where one person loses something, so we have to meet in the middle. It's we're both getting what we want together.
So what you're really saying is there's a strong overlap, and you're having trouble figuring out where
Yeah,
they're overlapping and not
yeah,
overlapping.
exactly. It's
Okay,
like
yeah,
there's a place here where we can both be happy.
yeah.
So let's figure out what it is.
I like that description better. I never really liked the idea of compromising in a relationship. And Louise and I found pretty early, kind of what you and Kenny are finding, that you really don't have to compromise very often. It's pretty
I think
rare.
I think the word compromise has a very negative connotation to it, but we're basically saying the same thing.
Well, maybe compromise usually. Oh, well, I'm going to define it the way I usually think about it.
Okay.
Maybe there is a distortion here, but I think of
Okay.
compromise where I have to give up something that I like, and you have to give up something you like, and then we settle on some bit that we kind of like.
No,
Like,
that's settling.
that's settling as opposed to
That's
compromise.
settling. Yes. Hmm.
So you see a distinct difference there.
I definitely do.
Okay,
Settling, no one's happy, but
that's
you
true.
get through it. But compromise is both parties are happy.
Okay, that's an interesting definition. I like
Hmm.
that. Yeah,
That's how it works in my world.
I could actually like that kind of compromise because to me that's not even compromise. To me, that's
Hmm.
like I like doing the same thing you like. Let's do it together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, I think that's what most often they mean by compromise. Although not necessarily. There are a lot of couples who have very different interests and very
Hmm.
different lifestyles even, which makes a
Oh, yep.
challenging relationship, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I can kind of see where compromise, like you go to my event and I'll go to your event.
Yeah,
No,
we do
that's
that
not
too.
really I'm loving what you do and you love what I do. That's I'll just go with you so you can have somebody on your arm.
Well, no, you see, you're thinking of it in the wrong way because it's a compromise because you both still get to spend time together. That's what the
So
ultimate goal is to spend time together.
yeah,
Doesn't
so
mat Shouldn't matter what you're doing. Is if one person wants to do one thing, then it's the next person's turn the next time.
okay. I'm trying to imagine how is that working out with Louise now. We actually do it a little bit differently now that I think about it.
Well, you guys are old salts, so you should have the same hobbies anyway.
We don't though.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, I know you don't watch the same TV shows. I know that.
And I'm the one who does the podcast and she doesn't. And we started it together,
Hmm.
you know.
Interesting.
She's definitely, like you say, she's the TV watcher. She'll play games galore on her laptop or on her
Uh huh.
pad. I don't play games at all. I mean,
Me neither.
I lost interest, back when they were on video tables, just
I only play party games. Oh, that's right. Okay. I just remembered I misplaced one of the party games in the parties on Sunday, so I got to
oh,
remember
oh,
where I put it.
okay. Well, that's also another topic. All right, I'm going to move away from the topic we're on. I want to ask you about this one.
Okay.
How are party games different today? Because I mean, I haven't done them in a while, but
Bro, they're wild. They're wild.
tell me about it.
Have
Because
you heard of such a thing as Cards Against Humanity?
no,
Okay. Well, all now they're not even board games anymore. They're literal actual card games. So card games are
we never played
basically,
board games anyway, but that's all right.
yeah, after Monopoly, we stopped because it's a
Well,
never-ending story and then people just get mad. It just tears up families. So we
yeah,
just
I
we
mean,
just
it's
stopped
not really
playing.
social. There were
No.
games that you'd play in groups, but it wasn't board games normally.
Yeah, yeah. No, unless it's a drinking board game, which me and my friends used to do.
I don't remember those. That's the problem.
Well, it wasn't a thing to remember. This is just me and my friends. It's raining outside. Let's play Sorry and make it a drinking game. Like,
Okay.
yeah. But Cards Against Humanity. So basically, it's however many people, more than four. It's got to be more than four people,
Okay.
and everybody gets a certain. There's the black cards and then there's white cards. You get one black card. A person picks up a one black card, and each of you have seven white cards. So the black card will say something random, like how do you save the Indians? And then out of the 7 cards you have to find the card that matches to the person's personality, what you think that person would pick to match that card to like finish the sentence. So, but the answers are rude, crude, and yeah. So that's the fun part.
Hence the against humanity part.
Yes, yes.
Got it. Okay. Okay. There's a little viciousness to that game.
A little bit. It's a little, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it gets pretty intense. You see other people's cards start stacking up, and you're sitting there like, nobody picks my cards. I'm very competitive, so.
Is it just me, or is not just parlor games like this, but any kind of entertainment, isn't it getting nastier?
Yeah, it is.
It really is, isn't it?
Because they have Cards Against Humanity, What Do You Meme? There's 2 other games I can't remember because I haven't played them yet. But yeah, so all kinds of stuff like that. They're terrible. I wouldn't play them with my mother, but but they're fun.
It's an interesting gauge. If you would play it with your mother, that gives you an idea of how nasty or not nasty it is.
I did play Cards Against Humanity with my mother once, and she's mad cool, so we love playing with her and my friends, but like it's awkward.
Yeah.
But just the things that she has to read out loud that you've never heard her say in real life.
Right.
It's just, yeah.
It kind of throws you.
And then she still doesn't pick your cards. How rude is that? The trick is you put them down anonymously so nobody knows whose card is whose.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can see how your mom would play that game. I can't imagine my parents playing a game like that.
No.
They would have gotten to, step 1 and said, no, I'm not playing this game.
Right. You would have read one card and been like, and I'm out.
Yep, that's it. I'm done.
Oh, man.
Don't you have any nice games?
Yeah. Nope. They're all canceled. Oh.
That is really kind of tied into what I was reading about in my post, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do believe a lot of the what I'm calling nasty. I mean, really, it's just focusing on stuff that we would not normally like to have happen to us. It's kind of like Josie going to the horror film. People who like to go to horror films, they don't actually want to have a horror film happen to them.
Not usually, no.
But they want to be able to see it, and
yeah,
there's a lot more of that. I get the feeling of.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
And it has interesting LOA implications. I didn't ask Josie about that on Tuesday. I don't think either of you guys did either. But you focus on that kind of thing long enough, and you end up with things like, well, I won't say that, but
a pandemic.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a challenge.
That's why I don't sign up for that stuff. Nope.
But you played, Cards Against Humanity.
I did. Yes.
So how do you, when you're playing that, how do you avoid getting sucked into the negative vibe?
Because the cards aren't always negative, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not so much, it's negativity, but it's in good jest. So it's still fun. So it's the vibration behind the game.
Okay. So you're basically saying you do a lot of laughing and that makes up for it.
Oh yeah, you did. All you do is laughter in that game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of humor is based on pain. Let's be perfectly blunt. It really is.
Yeah. It's more dirty humor than anything, like fart jokes and things of that nature, like fart jokes on 10.
And by today's standards, that's actually relatively mild. When I was growing up.
That is mild. Yeah. Cards Against Humanity is not mild. This is not a game for children under 18.
It does have a minimum age.
Yes, the box says 17 plus. Yes.
17 up. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got Jeffrey listing some games. He says I would enjoy playing with Alex. First of all.
Yeah, you would. I'm a blast in a glass.
He says he loves Cards Against Humanity. He likes Lumberjack Fantasies.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't played that one, but I know Jeffrey, so I got a feeling.
He says Quiplash.
I think I played Quiplash.
Okay. And then played with teenagers, potty humor, personal digs, and political dirt.
Never heard of those.
I think those are descriptions of Quiplash, but I'm not sure.
Oh, the versions. Yeah. Okay. No, I try to skip the politics one.
Okay. I think that's all he said there. Okay. Amazing how Jeffrey always has something on whatever we're talking
he's
about.
always in the know. He's like
Really, he
Google.
is. This guy's like on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
He really is.
He's well
Okay.
rounded. He knows a little bit about everything.
So, well, at least now I know a little bit more about the kinds of games that are played in social situations today. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, there's a piece of me that is quite pleased to hear that people, especially millennials, are doing things that don't necessarily involve laptops, devices, and so forth. They can actually talk to each other. It's
Well,
reassuring.
they do have those games too.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean,
but
from
you
what
can
you're
play as a
describing,
group on your phones though.
but it also sounds like you can actually do it, in person, which
Yeah.
is
Oh yeah, have to be doing it in person. Yeah.
that's novel.
Yeah.
That's great. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's telling me feel reassured about humanity.
Yeah. They always live a little something old school. They
Yeah.
always, yeah, keep a little something
I
retro.
mean, we'll have to check each succeeding generation to see how deeply they go into the electronics rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's pretty much all going to be Ready Player One in a couple of years anyway. So.
at the very least, I mean, those who grew up in my generation read a lot of science fiction, and the science fiction told us what it was going to be like now, and it's
Mm-hmm.
often correct. And some of it's a little bit chilling,
Yeah.
to say the least. But one of my favorite science fiction novelists, used to
Mm-hmm.
talk about how, not so much now, maybe, I don't know, 50 to 100 years from now, there'd be something called smart suits.
Smart suits.
Now,
Okay.
this is before smartphones, but it's
Mm-hmm.
essentially the same thing. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
concept. It's a suit that you put on that acts like a computer.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And in fact, like any kind of device that has a display, you can put a display on your suit so you can show somebody else's face. You can show yourself green
Oh,
and pinks. You can just decorate your body because you're
so
wearing.
it's basically a real life avatar.
Yeah,
Cool.
but in human form.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's like I don't want to wear makeup today. No, I feel like being white today. You know what? Let me press this button.
And precisely, that's what it is.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
happens. And it's also, because it's a science fiction, it's also a spacesuit.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah,
So that you can use this to jet around the galaxy.
yeah.
No matter where you are, you've got oxygen, you got a food supply. It's all right built into your suit.
And you're always dressed for the occasion, no matter
There you
what
go.
it is.
Yeah. Now
Interesting.
that sounds like something we could have pretty soon, doesn't it?
It does. It definitely does.
And the books that came from were written in the 1970s and 1980s.
Wow, that reminds me of how my mom's always telling me about back when she went to the World's Fair. I was like,
Oh God, yes, in New
well,
York.
yeah, yeah. Her
That was
dad took
great.
her. Yeah, and she was telling me all the things that have come true. And I was like, I couldn't imagine being back then and be like, cell phones, what?
That was a little strange because you went to the exhibits and they seemed far fetched.
Yeah,
Like, no, well, okay, yeah, that looks like Disney created that one.
yeah.
It was that kind of reaction. But looking back, yeah, there were an awful lot of things that they showed us
Hmm.
that actually did come true, including
Yeah,
cell.
my mom said the only thing that we haven't done yet is flying cars, but we're working on that.
Well, that's true, except they didn't do flying cars either. Not really. They had cars that were on the ground, but they weren't flying.
No, they weren't flying. They were, what was it, repelling against gravity or whatever. So it's like
Well, there was
repelling
a
magnets or something.
monorail. Monorail did that.
Well, we have monorails.
Yeah. That was the first time I saw a monorail, and it
Hmm.
was cool over the years to see different places that had incorporated monorails. That was fun.
Where, other than Disney, where else do they have monorails?
Disney.
So just all the Disneys.
All the Disneys, yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, in that case, they're everywhere.
I think there are cities actually that have small monorail type things.
Actually, yeah, Miami has a small little
Yeah.
loop of a transit system that you don't have to pay for. You just get on and you can go to and from work or your hotel or whatever.
I know they're also building a high-speed train between Miami and Orlando, and I'm not sure that may also be elevated, floating on track.
Oh, that sounds safe. Let's
It's gonna
all
be
get
pretty
on it
quick
at
too.
once.
I mean, it could be something where you climb into the train in Miami, and 20 minutes later you're in Orlando, which is quite a hike.
That is quite a hike.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably like, I don't know what the speed will be. I'm going to guess 150 miles an hour or something like that.
Woo!
It's going to move.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Not playing around.
pretty good.
Train
Yeah.
is a pretty fast way to get somewhere. It's just the stops in between. That's the problem.
I think that's where something like this is going to work, because I think it's just 3 stops. I think it's Miami up to Orlando and then down to the other coast at Tampa, and that's it.
Oh,
It's just,
okay.
I think it's 3 stops.
Huh.
So it's just designed to be metropolitan area to metropolitan area.
Okay.
I
All
could be
right.
wrong. This
I
is
was gonna say, like, how are they? Like, what do you have to stop in Stewart or like Jacksonville, or you're just out of luck?
Well, Jacksonville is way up, so it
Yeah, it's
probably
way,
not
way
going to be
up.
a
I'm
stop.
just naming random cities in Florida that I know.
But no, your point's well taken. I'm not sure what happens in that. I mean, you
Just,
could probably try jumping the train, but you'd kill yourself. So
well, yeah, that's a possibility.
yeah, new kind of jumper.
Yeah, jumping out of a train at 120 miles an hour. Yeah, you might die, just a
Yeah.
little.
How did we end up on that topic? Let's get off
I
that.
don't know how we get here. I don't know. I never know. Someone
Just kind
said,
of
held a gun to my head and said, draw me a map of how we get back to where we were. Couldn't tell you. I'd be dead.
yeah. Well, then let's just draw a new map. That's all.
All right.
Direction. So going back to the post that I read to you,
Mm-hmm.
the key element that I was including in there was the idea that we rely too much on, we shouldn't rely at all, on how somebody else thinks and feels to determine how we're going to feel.
Yeah, that's not the way to go.
But it happens a lot.
It does. You
And it's
tend
easy
to
to
lose
sit there.
yourself in a relationship,
Oh,
friendship, what,
geez.
family member, whatever.
Any kind of relationship,
Mm-hmm.
personal relationship, interpersonal, a work relationship.
Yep.
It could be just, friends that you knew from high school, anything.
Pet relationships, all the
Pet
relationships.
Sure, absolutely. And all of them are cases where we can get sucked into, well, I wonder what the other person thinks, or what the dog thinks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they get treats, because we fall for it every time.
That,
Like, will you like me now?
I have to do this aside because it's true, right? That's the way pets are, right? Who
Yep.
has who wrapped around whose finger? Or
This is what I want to know. This
You
is
know?
what I want to know.
I mean, I think it's the pets have us wrapped around their paws.
Agreed.
They really do.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're just so good. It's actually become something of a running joke here in the Thiessen household.
Mm-hmm.
We have the 2 cats. Joy's the outside cat.
Mm-hmm.
This time of year, it's a bit of a contest to see, will he come in to eat, or will he get us to bring food out to him?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He comes up to the door and it's a staring contest. So you're going to come in? He looks at me. No, you're going to come in? Come on. You got to come in to eat. And he just looks at me, rubs up against the door.
Oh, man. Yeah. Joy's running that household.
No doubt. No doubt. Although I have to give Louise and I credit, because the 2 of us had managed to get him inside the house to eat like 98% of the time.
Oh, all right. It's not that bad then.
Yeah. Sometimes it's right inside the door, but
Yeah.
it is inside.
Yeah. It's not about the technicalities. We won this round.
But he wins a few of them.
Yeah, Chloe has taken to she no longer wanted to take treats out of your hand. She wanted you to put them on the ground for her. Now she was like, no, I will only take them on the stairs. Now she's to the point where I will have them in bed. Let me know when you get back from the kitchen. My mother's dog, not my dog. Yeah, I will not eat them in my bed.
I will have them on the stairs.
I was like, Mom, why are you placating to a dog? Like, she won't take them. They're treats. She doesn't have to take them. She can eat food. It's fine. And then she buries them in the blanket and saves them for later. I'm like, what is happening? So,
have you seen any of those TV shows where they show you unusual animal pairing friends?
No.
Like you have, there was one where there was a, I think it was a crow that raised a kitten.
Oh, the adorableness. I can't.
Oh, yeah. Or the predators, 2 predators that would normally never hang out together, and they're best buddies.
Aww.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really quite interesting how far they'll go, and to the point where if the caretaker or caregivers separate them,
Hmm.
they go into deep depression.
I've heard stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? It was a donkey and what was the other animal? Was it a pig? A fox? It was a
I
really
think I
weird
heard this
pairing.
one. I feel like it. No, that's a different one I'm thinking of.
I can't remember what it was, but they separated them because the other animal, whatever that other animal was being adopted by another farm that takes care of
Oh,
animals that have been mistreated, and the donkey and the other animal both went into depression.
oh,
And they had
bring my
the owners of
friend
the two
back.
places. They had to communicate and figure out, okay, how are we going to fix this? And they actually had the donkey carted in too. And from that point on, the other animal just perked right up, and
Oh.
everything was okay again.
Now, see, that's a bad example of depending on someone else's happiness to make you happy.
Yeah, it's true.
It
It's true, but it's also adorable.
is so freaking cute. But it's also, you don't have to depend on them, but you miss your friend. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, in this case, it took away the will to live, which, like you
Yeah,
said,
that's
that's
that's that's scary.
yeah, yeah. But then again, when they got back together again, they were fine.
Yeah, but what if they didn't get back together?
They didn't show that in the film.
Yeah,
It's not.
I always think of that. I'm like, but what if though?
Well, I think it was a Disney film now that I think about it. So
A Disney film.
what's that?
A Disney film.
No, I mean it was like a Disney show about animals, about
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
unusual animal friends.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
put out
So
by
they don't show the negative stuff because they're
no,
Disney
not
and they're not
usually.
allowed to.
Well, they show some, but not so much.
Yeah.
Not like National Geo. No. There you get the raw, unvarnished version.
Hmm.
You're gonna be my friend until I eat you.
The whole praying mantis vibe.
There were a few of those that we've been watching though, and interesting that you should mention that there are certain animal friend situations where they aren't particularly healthy, but we could also envision those that are.
Hmm.
One of the ones that are is, and this was one of the Disneys, it was about elephants, and particularly they followed a particular smallish herd of elephants up and down the river basin in the southern part of Africa.
Hmm.
I can't remember what's it's the big river down there. I can't think what it's called.
Serengeti. No,
No,
that's the desert, not the river. Never
that's
mind.
the desert. No, I can't think what it is. But anyway, they followed this group of elephants around, and boy, oh boy, do they have personalities! I
Elephants are
mean,
awesome.
really amazing personalities, and I mean they are in many ways human.
Hmm.
So many human characteristics, and you can kind of see human dynamics or relationship dynamics. I guess is the better
Yeah.
way of playing out in a big way. There's one scene where there is a calf, a young elephant, stuck in the mud, and
Oh.
he's from a different clan, so to speak. He's from a different herd, but they're all in the same general place. And his mother can't get to him, and the
Hmm.
mother of this particular herd that we're following goes over to help dig him out of the mud,
Oh.
and very cleverly too, because it was almost like quick mud, quicksand.
Yeah.
It was dangerous. It was very, very
Yeah.
dangerous. There was a lot, and the biggest danger was that the calf would suffocate because he
Right.
was sick so badly.
Hmm.
And she very persistently worked and worked and worked until finally she was able to get him a foothold so he could climb his way out very slowly because he's covered with mud, of course,
Right. That stuff's heavy.
got him out. And wow, I mean, I don't even know how to begin to describe that other than to make it human-like, saying that
Hmm.
that was like they were looking out for each other. That had nothing to
Yeah.
do with instinct. That had nothing to do with all the stuff we usually attribute to animals. That was just pure love. That was an act of love.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah,
That's an adorable story.
it is. Yeah. I think it was just called Elephants. Anybody who hasn't seen it, check it out on Disney
We
Plus.
can learn so much from animals.
Some of the other friendships were really cool. There was I think it was a leopard a
Mhm.
lion, and what was the third animal? Maybe a panther. I
Oh,
think
okay. That's a
the,
weird pride.
the three large predators that would never ever hang out to best
Right.
buddies, absolutely best buddies for life. Just and it's not like they played all the time. Sometimes they did. I think it
Yeah.
was the leopard that was always running around all over the place. Was it the leopard? Maybe it was the panther. I think the panther's the really fast one, isn't it? I can't remember which one's the fast.
Uh,
Leopards
I
are pretty
think the
good.
leopards are the fastest.
Okay, so it was the leopard that was running all over the place, and the
Okay.
others weren't trying to keep up or anything. They just tolerated it, but he just
Hmm.
ran circles around. He loved that.
Got to get its exercise in.
That's right. That's right. But I especially love the ones where it's the predator and the prey, and they take care of each other.
Yeah.
You know, typically you wouldn't see a crow taking care of a kitten. This
No, you
crow,
wouldn't.
the crow raised the kitten from birth because the mother was killed.
Mm. Oh.
Raised it from birth, would feed it.
Hmm.
Once the people
How
who
does a
lived
crow feed
nearby,
a kitten?
it wasn't easy. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
I mean, the kitten actually lived on a farm, so there were humans there. But the
Hmm.
crow insisted on taking care of him. So the humans would like make milk available so that the
Hmm.
crow could feed the kitten.
Oh,
I
that is
mean,
too cute.
it was crazy,
Oh
just
my
amazing.
goodness.
Later on, when the kitten was like 1 or 2 years old,
Hmm.
the humans would get the kitten to come into the house.
Hmm.
And if he was in there too long, the crow would come up to the front door and look at them like, "So, can he come out to play?"
Aw. Oh, it's so cute.
And watching a crow and a kitten play, that's also astonishing.
Yeah.
Because the crow could, especially when it's a kitten, the crow could probably take out the kitten. When the kitten goes up to the cat, it's the reverse.
Hmm.
You because the crow could just peck him to death or
Right.
whatever. But the cat has claws, so they could
True.
both hurt each other.
Yeah.
But the way they play, the cat can't fly, the crow can. The
Hmm.
crow doesn't fly, but he kind of hops along the ground with his wings so that he can kind of bounce along. The cat
Aw.
bounces along with him. They kind of roll around with each other. I, Amazing.
That
They
is
actually work out
amazing.
a way to play.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
So
so
if
cool.
mortal enemies can get together, then what's wrong with y'all people?
Well, we could say what's wrong with you, or we could say here's inspiration,
Yes. Is yeah.
because that's what I think of it as.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, here's an example from our own cats.
Hmm.
Lately, I've enjoyed, like I said, he stays outside. He's
Hmm.
outdoors 24/7 if he can do it. And Louise gets a little bit bothered because sometimes he's not hungry, which means he's been hunting.
Oh.
And from one of our neighbor's kids, we've learned that he hunts chipmunks.
Oh.
But just the other day, I saw him lazily laying outside in the sun, and a chipmunk walked by him. And he just looked at the chipmunk and watched it go right on by and let him go because
Maybe he's
he
just
wasn't
not
hungry.
hungry.
He wasn't hungry. It was that
Yeah.
simple. So no need to attack it.
Hmm.
Kind of a different take on
Yeah.
predator prey.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. So there's lots of hope.
There is hope.
Okay. So I don't know. Have we covered that post? I think we've kind of covered it pretty well. Where do we go
We
next?
have. What are we doing next?
Yeah.
Can we dip into a conspiracy theory real quick?
If you really want to, sure.
Now you
I
know
I
me.
don't
I am
I don't
not a
normally
conspiracy
associate
theorist.
I don't normally associate you with conspiracies, so this is going to be new.
No, this is new. Okay, first for me, I see the logic in this, but a lot of people aren't right now, so people are freaking out. All right, I don't mean to blow anyone's mind, but the 2020 quarters have a picture of a bat on one side.
The 2020 what?
The quarters, you know how we get quarters every year?
Oh, the 25-cent pieces. Okay.
Yeah, 25-cent pieces. They one side they have, the American everything and blah blah blah, and the other side is a picture of a bat. And they say it's in donation to the national park. But
Okay.
they're made 6 months in advance before they come out. They just came out. We have a picture of a bat, and we're in the middle of a pandemic that was caused by a bat.
I think I can see where this is
You
going.
see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that theory. Me, I'm just like, oh, it's for the national park. But then people are like, but there are no bats at the national park. I'm like, were you there? Do you work there? Do you know there? But I'm just saying that's probably going to be popping up soon.
I think this is an excellent example of what happens when you force people to stay at home and they have nothing to do for too long.
Oh, yes. This entire everything that's come out is exactly like that. Like, how can I get seen today? I
Yeah.
can make something up that's real devious and makes people think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, to be honest, I don't even use change anymore. I don't even know what the coins look like
I
now.
use my debit card. I never would have noticed.
Debit or credit. I don't even use checks anymore.
Who uses checks?
We switched banks last October because our old bank got bought by the new bank, and
Mm-hmm.
they offered us a chance to get checks, and I never really got around to it. And at first, I was a little upset because they were going to give away free checks, and I said, "Wait a minute, I never use a check anyway. What do I
Right.
care?"
When was the last time you wrote a check? Goodness gracious.
Even when I do write a check, I use bill pay, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, checks. And
So
I
yeah,
think about all the time I spent in fourth grade learning how to write a check. There could have been other things I was learning. And I've probably written probably 3 checks in my entire life.
I've written a few more than that, but like a few thousand.
Yeah.
But yeah, and processed many more because I way back in my early 20s, I was a bank teller, so I
Hmm.
handled a lot of checks.
Oh, okay. You about that check life.
Real well. We were best buds.
Hmm.
But change, I actually have an old change purse, and I just any change that I rarely get anything. I put it into the change purse, and it just kind of it doesn't pile up enough to put into a bowl because I don't
Yeah,
get it often enough, and like two
yeah,
times a year maybe. So
yeah.
it's
I
not
hear
like
you.
I have this huge pile of change to go through and say, "Gee, wonder what the 2020 quarter looks like."
Exactly. Yeah, I've never been big into change. I actually hate change. If I get change, I hand it to my mother or Kenny. I don't like change. That's if I'm using cash. Like, when am I using cash?
It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, it's gotten to the point now. This also comes out of a sci-fi novel from like the 1980s or 90s.
Hmm.
Gotten to the point now where you use cash and they give you a look.
Yeah. Especially now because they're like, oh, you want me to touch your money? I don't. You're not wearing gloves. Oh God.
Or even worse, what's wrong with you? Your credit isn't any good?
Right. Who's out here using cash during pandemic season?
Well, yeah, I suppose it's a built-in excuse anyway.
Well, money is the dirtiest thing on the planet in more ways than one.
Yeah, we could have whole discussions on that. We have had discussions on that
Hmm.
actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a strange thing though how this pandemic is producing all kinds of unexpected side effects
Yes.
and results
Oh,
that never
side note, I was thinking about Josie's poem on Tuesday, The Rainbow Children.
Oh, that was lovely.
That has a multi-purpose.
What do you mean?
Because I don't know if you know, but the child born after a miscarriage or a loss is a rainbow baby.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So like I was thinking about the poem on 2 different levels as she was reading it.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
So hear that, Josie? Your poems really rang for us. That was good.
Yeah.
That was great. Yeah, that's good. I hadn't thought of that.
Hmm.
Very
Hmm.
good. So, what else has happened out of this pandemic? I mean, let's spend the last quarter of the show on that since we talked about quarters. Let's spend the last quarter talking about changes that are coming out of the pandemic. I'll tell you the first one, and I shared this one just yesterday with Cindy because
Hmm.
yesterday, of course, where you are in Massachusetts and here in Connecticut, we had the last two states to begin opening up again.
Yep.
And Louise and I went out and did some shopping,
Hmm.
and we're amazed to see all the cars back on the road again, and to
Hmm.
see the parking lot at the supermarket actually full, and
Hmm.
things like that. Um, and I also got out to do my walk because the weather, of course, has been gorgeous lately.
Yes,
Couldn't
it
get anything
has. It's supposed to be
inside.
79 tomorrow.
I know, and
Super
then
excited.
mid 70s over the weekend and Monday.
Yep.
Like, oh, geez, it's going to be great. Yeah. But anyway, the thing that I had noticed is that now that we're past, it's almost like this point of reopening is a magic point in people's minds.
Hmm.
Because starting the first day, up until then, people, if I saw them out on the walking path, they would give me a smile over their mask if they were wearing a mask, or maybe a polite wave or something like that.
Hmm.
But yesterday, big smiles. Hey, how you doing? Really excited. I mean, you could feel that blanket of fear lifting. So that's like the
Good.
first result that I saw. And it isn't
Hmm.
completely gone. I'm still seeing signs of people still having the fear, but not like they had
Hmm.
before. So the awakening is happening, I guess you might call it.
Yeah. Slowly but
Are you
surely.
seeing it too?
I mean, I don't go
No,
out
right?
to know, but yeah, sure.
You got to get out more, Alex. That's all there is
No,
to it.
no, I'm good.
Just
No,
because.
I have been getting out. I've been, going for walks down to the beach and
Oh, good.
some push-ups and stuff at the beach and then coming home.
All right. Is that Kenny's influence?
He needs fresh air or he flips out. So it's like it's either there's too much CO2 in the basement. That's what's happening. He smokes cigarettes in the basement. So if he doesn't get fresh air, I gotta walk him at least once a day. Otherwise,
Gotta walk him. Well, kudos to Kenny for getting you out. That's a good. That's very good. But what else are you seeing? I mean, what do you see either hypothetically or actually coming out of this coronavirus pandemic thing?
I see a lot of fear because of the states opening back up. A lot of people aren't ready, and if that you're not ready, that's your choice. But if
Mm,
some people are, that's their choice. I say everybody mind their own business and do what they're going to do.
mm,
I have a friend who owns a hair salon, and they said that in Massachusetts the hair salons can open up on the 25th. She had
right.
made a post on her business page saying we'll be opening up on the 30th. We want to wait a little while just to see, how things are going to go. And someone from our high school decided to troll her and say, please stay home and stay safe and make sure no one else gets infected. Nobody has to be, out just because they need their hair done. And it's like, the governor said, back up off me, bruh. Like, it's not that serious. You don't want to come to the salon, you don't have to, but let everybody do what they want to do. Go out at your own risk.
There are two factors going on there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the trolling factor.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
started pretty much at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who didn't toe the line, a lot of finger waving and
Yeah.
shaming and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's been around for quite some time anyway. So this was like, the
Just
golden.
a bit an excuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering, how does that continue to play out over time? Does that just continue like it did before? Now we have a new excuse, or does it kind of fade out? Because I
I
have a
feel like
feeling
it's
that,
gonna fade out because they're gonna have less and less to complain about.
yeah, well, that maybe. I mean, people who like to complain always find something.
Oh, there's always something.
It's not like they lack opportunity or
Nope.
ideas.
Mm-mm.
I mean, if all else fails, you can always pull a quarter out of your pocket. So it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
So I don't really think there's any lack of that. No, I think what's going to happen is going to be a little bit less tolerance for it.
Definitely. People are
Now,
not
I don't
putting
know
up
how
with
long
it.
that's going to take. It may take a while,
I'm seeing it
but
already.
are you?
But those are just my type of friends. Those are the people I associate with. They don't put up with anybody's bullshit. So we ain't got time for that.
So they're the leading edge of clamping down on crazy.
Yeah, I'm in the generation of people who are like, if you don't like it, get off my page. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
So
nobody asked you.
really hard boundaries. Very, very,
Yep. Yep.
which is good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
What else are you seeing though that tells you there's going to be this is going to be a shift, this thing, whatever the thing is?
The nice weather.
You
Now,
think
let me
that?
tell you what I mean by that. I feel, first of all, I have an aunt who firmly believes that the government controls the weather and they were making us all have rainy days so that we would stay inside for the pandemic. I feel like that's true to a point, but let me tell you why.
Okay. This should be
I
interesting.
feel I feel like our vibrations as a whole are affecting the weather.
I
And if
agree.
we're upset and we're sad, it's going to snow, it's going to rain, it's you know what I mean? But if as we're starting to lighten up, so are the clouds. That's why I feel.
I am 100% on board with that. I really
Well,
am.
thank you.
I think I think it's accurate. I think it's very
Yeah.
true. I mean, well, it's
Hmm.
law of attraction is what you're describing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's exactly what is happening.
Hmm.
Now, here's the interesting question: which came first? Which is the chicken? Which is
Exactly.
the egg?
Exactly. And how do you equate? Okay, I'm happy when it's sunny out. So if I'm happy, it'll be sunny out, or I'm happy because it's sunny out.
Now,
Yeah.
most people are going to say it's the second one, I think,
Yeah.
or not
Most
LOA
people will.
people.
Yes.
LOA people will say it's the first, but
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, I think that's probably true. But that points to something else I think that's going to start happening. And
Hmm.
maybe this is wishful thinking on my part because
Probably, but let's hear it.
we talk about law of attraction all the time. So I want
Yeah.
there to be more people interested in it. I think more people are going to start being interested in law of attraction because of this.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. I think that more people are starting to see how it can work. Like I tell Kenny all the time, like something goes wrong, well, stop thinking negatively and stop painting the negative picture. Like start thinking the opposite. He's like, well, I want this to happen. Okay, but you got to believe it, because you can't say I want this to happen, but here's what's going to happen.
And you got to
Let's do
feel
it.
it
You
too.
got to feel it. Yeah,
It's got to feel real to you.
yeah, exactly. You can't
Mhm.
just say it. You got to, walk the walk, talk the talk. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's because maybe I'm thinking that it's going to be more and more accepted because I'm finding myself that it's easier for me to accept it. It's kind of the point where I can't even deny it anymore. It's just
Mm-hmm.
anytime I try, it just splashes me in the face. I mean, I told an example the other day about how I have a small Facebook group that I
Mm-hmm.
administer that is just for people in this area where we live,
Uh-huh.
called the Farmington Valley, north of Hartford.
Mm-hmm.
And like anybody who's ever administered a group of any size, this one's like 5 or 6 thousand people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you learn pretty quickly that the hackers are good at sending out bots.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Big facts.
Unfortunately, they do give you the ability to create little special questions so you can kind of filter them out.
Yep.
But you can tell. I mean, it's pretty obvious who the bots are.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was telling, I think it was Cindy yesterday, I had really gotten frustrated with the bots. And the more
Yeah.
frustrated I got, the more bots I got.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point where every day it was just one continuous list of bots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I couldn't stop there because I had to report them. I
Yeah.
got to stop these bots. I got to let Facebook know so they can get rid of all these bots. And of course, I kept getting more
No,
and more bots.
they just you delete them and they make another page and start all over. Who cares?
Well, I cared. I wanted to stop them.
But you were just drawing more to you.
Exactly. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
point.
Yeah.
Until the day came, this was about 2 or 3 days ago, where I forgot about the bots completely. And then
Mm-hmm.
I went to check the page and it was just legitimate applicants trying
People.
to get in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, damn, I did it again.
You can't get away with anything with
I
yourself.
can't get away with anything. But that's the kind of experience that happens more and more and more. And it gets to the point where I ask myself, are there any instances where I really don't think LOA applies? I mean, I know theoretically it does everywhere, but
Right.
you know how it is. We kind of go through an
Yeah, when you do
evolution
it,
where,
when it comes to you and yourself, like you're better
right,
at giving the advice than taking the advice.
exactly,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're actually checking it out. Okay, is this really happening?
Yeah. Or dang, I forgot for a second.
Well, it's gotten to the point now where everything does seem to be LOA related.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, I know another thing that's been happening during quarantine. This is I've recently became privy to this.
Okay,
There's a thing, I don't know if it's just Massachusetts or it's all over, but there's a thing called whining.
that's been around
So
for ages.
no,
Oh,
whining
different kind.
or being whined.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah. So basically, it's basically women that have gotten together in different Facebook groups, and they will give each other their addresses or what area they're in. There's a specific one for Cape Cod, and they'll say, "What area are you in, and what kind of alcohol do you like, and what kind of snacks do you like?" And they'll make you a personal gift basket, drop it off at your front door, and
Ah,
yeah, and you
okay.
want do unto others as done unto you, and back and forth, and yeah. So there's a great thing that's going on.
And that came out of the coronavirus.
That came out of, yeah, we are all quarantined. A lot of us are quarantined with home with kids and could use some wine. Here's some free wine and some snacks for your kids and some baby wipes and whatever.
Okay, gift
Mm-hmm.
baskets for the
Give
pandemic.
for the pandemic. Yeah.
Well, the good part about that is the gift basket is a way to say I'm thinking about you and I care about you.
Yeah, you can leave a little note in there. You can be anonymous if you want to. It's really cute.
It's not as dramatic as sending a fire engine by your house on your birthday with balloons flying from the fire engine.
Yeah, not so much.
Not so much, but it
But
has the
it's
same.
something I hope that continues as even if the pandemic is over.
I think it will because that gift basket thing, I mean, they have gift clubs now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So it's become a pretty big deal. It's
yeah,
almost a big business, not quite, but it's almost a big business.
yeah. They
And
call it being quarantined.
quarantwined,
Yeah,
like as
corn
in
twine.
wine.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay. All right, so they have a positioning statement. That's nice.
They also have options for sober people. So if you just want snacks or if you want like non-alcoholic drink, you can
That's smart
make,
because
yeah.
I wouldn't have bought the wine thing myself.
Well, yeah. And also, pregnant mothers. can't
Hmm.
drink. So, there's something in it for everybody. You just got to make a list of what your favorites are, where you're located, and then someone random will pick you off the list and look at your doorstep.
So it's along the lines of what they call a random act of kindness then.
Yes, it is. And paying it forward.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
That's a very clever concept. That
Yeah.
strikes me as being one that's a little hard to get going, but once you get that going, that has a momentum.
Oh, I joined the group. My Kenny's cousin added me to the group, and I was like, "Okay, what's this about?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm getting free wine. Okay." And then, and I don't even really drink, but it's free wine, so and snacks. And so I was looking at the group, and I think I joined. There was like 132 people. In 3 days, they got up to 5,000 people,
Oh my
and
God.
this is just on the Cape.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
massive growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's
In
a
three
distributor
days.
in there who's just saying ka-ching, ka-ching,
Yeah.
ka-ching.
Exactly. Exactly.
Holy cow.
I mean, and the baskets are amazing. Like, women are crafty. I saw one with chips and salsa, margaritas. It was a whole Cinco de Mayo theme. I was like, what is
Wow.
happening? Yeah.
Very clever.
I can't wait to
Clever.
do my basket. I don't know who I'm going to get, but I'm going to be clever about it.
So you get one first and you do one second, or is it the other way
It,
around?
it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Doesn't
matter.
matter. No.
Yeah.
Okay. How long does it take? I mean, from the moment that you find
Um, I
something
don't
happens.
know. People are always asking in the group who hasn't been wined in Mashpee, who hasn't been wined in Hyannis, and then you pick whoever off the list. Or you can go to the admin and say, "Hey, I'm looking for someone in such and such an area. Can you give me an address?" And they'll give you an address.
So even that's kind of random then. It's not like there's a
Yeah. No, the
list
whole thing
or
is random. Yeah.
okay.
Hmm. And you can get wine more than once. I mean, with 5,000 people in a group, it's going to happen. So
This could be a boon for AA. I mean, this could really take off.
it could be. It could be. But I feel like once the quarantine's over, it'll just be snacks. And that'll be great too.
Well, I'm glad that they have the non-alcoholic
Yeah.
option,
Hmm.
so that you can sober up a little bit,
Yeah.
while doing this thing.
Hmm.
That could get dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was something that Louise and I talked about too early on with the pandemic. It'll be interesting to see if anything comes out of this. Well,
Hmm.
first of all, we're pretty sure. I think everybody's pretty sure there's going to be a baby boom in December and January.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know,
I told you my gyno told me that.
that's right. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
So we're all pretty confident about that. What I'm wondering is, since they decided that it was essential for people to be able to numb their pain by drinking, they
Mm,
wanted to have access to the alcohol. They let the
right.
stores stay open and
Hmm.
so forth. I wonder if there's going to be an increase in alcoholism.
Oh, most likely.
You
Because
think so?
anyone who wasn't addicted before sure is now if they could get their hands on it.
And they didn't have a whole lot else to do.
No, they
You
didn't.
know, you couldn't
Mm-mm.
justify like you were at the ball game, so you're enjoying the ball game and you have a drink occasionally. Now it's
Right. No, it's
great.
literally,
That's
they made a song called Board in the House, Board in the House, Board.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So okay, well, this should be an interesting upcoming Christmas season.
Oh, yes. Drunk Santa's for everybody.
Yeah, you'll either be pregnant or drunk, one or the other.
One or the other. I am
Sometimes,
neither. Thank you.
no, you're just preparing to get married. That's all.
Exactly. I had plenty of time to work my wedding list. It's great. My wedding planner is still working, so it's all fine.
Well, you also gave yourself a lot of time.
I
Let's be
sure
honest.
did. That
Not
was
many
that was on
people
purpose.
do it like a year and a half. That's a
Yeah,
long plan.
yeah. Well, I want to be able to afford everything that I want. You know what I mean? I want, and I don't want any little incidentals to be tripping me up at the last minute and I have to settle. No, I'm
Ah,
doing this once. I want to. Not saying it's going to
that
be a
was,
big wedding, but it's going to be nice.
so that was the thought pattern. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
wondered why you said it that far. That was a long way in advance. Like,
Yeah, that was
was
totally financial. Oh, and also the date we liked. We liked that it was uh the 22nd of the month, which is our anniversary. And we want to have all one anniversary. We don't have to. Well, we started dating on such and such a date. Then we got married on such and such a date. I don't even remember the day we got engaged.
well, on the one hand, that makes it clearer. On the other hand, if you guys have kids and the kids ask you, what day did you meet and then what day did you get married, they're going to say, well, wait a minute, you got married the same day that you dated, that you met each other. What happened here?
Nah, yeah. 2 years later, yep, we did.
That's right. I'm sure you'll sort it out.
Plus,
Well,
we
that
got
makes
engaged
sense.
so quickly, we wanted a long engagement.
You knew that right away?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
See, with Louise, I didn't know for a long time that I really wanted to get married, and then once we did want to get married, we found out because of her father's situation that we
right.
relatively quick. So it's like
Yeah,
kind of a diametric opposite.
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, we knew early on what we both wanted out of this relationship, and and then later it was more trying to figure out, are we right for each other? And then once we got past that part, we were like, so what are we doing? Is this the rest
Wow.
of our lives, or no? Yes. All right, cool. I'll see you. I'll see you with some roses later.
Yeah, romance isn't dead in your relationship, I'll tell you.
It's just we're almost 40, so we're at the point where it's like, are we messing around or not? Like, what's happening? Like, should I move on, or
Well,
are we doing this?
Louise and I met when we were over 40, and that was kind
Yeah,
of what her thing was. Whereas
like I
for
don't
me,
have time for games if
but
I'm
for
trying
me,
to spend the
it was
rest of
like
my life with you.
I had 20 years of disappointment. I
Yeah,
wasn't about this is like, last chance is what
yeah.
so I wanted
Mhm.
to be sure. So I wanted to take some time.
Oh, I hear you.
So yeah, that's
We
okay. It all
figured,
worked out.
why not spend the time while we're figuring it out together?
Well, we were going to do that anyway.
Well, yeah, but
I
I
mean,
wanted
that
an
was a
upgraded.
given. That was like absolute.
He just wanted to really make sure I wasn't going anywhere.
Good for him. I
Thanks.
like I like that. I mean, that's a good thing.
Hmm.
Good way to end the show. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
A little meandering, but we had fun. That was good. Jeffrey has been doing gratitudes, by the way.
Oh, I love gratitudes.
He says, I appreciate being wined and dined. I appreciate restaurant lifestyle, perfect eyesight, clarity, an interdependent and interesting relationship, hanging out, swapping stories, conversation, gardens, green tea, strawberries, marmalade, working in the sun, and being fun, free, and social.
I like all of those.
Good
I
list.
especially like the clear eyesight because I need some of that.
Yeah, you and me both. I like that.
I don't wear glasses on camera, but I can't see when I'm not on camera. Let me tell you. I can only see you because you're right here. Like if I was a little
Nearsighted?
further back, I forget which one's which.
Nearsighted is where you see easily up close. Farsighted is
Okay.
where you see easily far away.
Or I thought it was the opposite. Yes, I'm nearsighted.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for me, it's here. But other than that. Which is
Yeah.
actually quite valuable under certain circumstances, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, I'm nearsighted with night blindness, so that's also fun.
Oh yeah, I don't have that,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Hmm.
Yeah, especially since
Yeah.
I'm the
Don't
driver.
ask me to drive at night. It's
Yeah.
just, we
Okay.
ain't getting there.
Well, then don't go out anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Nope, especially not at night. No.
All right. So, despite the fact that we had nothing to talk about, we actually went overtime. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, thanks again. Looking forward to talking to you and Dan when we have Dan back on Tuesday. Have a great
Hmm.
weekend. Have a
Thank
good
you,
time
thank
with
you,
Kenny
thank
with
you.
whatever you're doing. Are you doing anything special over the holiday?
Well, his birthday's on Sunday, so we will be having a great time then. His mother's birthday's today, so we're actually gonna go get some ice cream.
Very nice. All right.
Hmm.
Well, happy birthday all around. Love it. All right. Well, then, thanks again. Thanks, Jeffrey, for all the live streaming. God, you took over the live stream and just knocked it out of the park. We love that. Thank you all, to all of our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.